If you do need to leave, thank you for coming out, but thank you for staying. For those of you that are, I'm one of the programmers here, Ernie Quiros, and I want to welcome writer, director, and star, you might recognize him, Iván Löwenberg from No Quiero Ser Polvo.
Well, thank you for staying.
Come more into the light.
I feel like it's time of Judgment Day right now. Well, I don't know, how do you want to start?
Well, maybe start with, I don't know if you said this in the intro, people don't know this
I didn't say
about your mom.
Okay, we can start there.
Yeah, we can start there.
This story is inspired by something that happened to my family back in the 90s. We were like kind of in a cult. We didn't think we were in a cult, but if you see it from the outside, it pretty much was a cult. So they believed it was going to happen, the days of darkness, and well, it didn't. And in 2010, this theory was around with the internet already spread out. So I started to think about writing about this episode, modifying everything, and inviting my mother to start the film. My mom is not an actress in everyday life. This is her debut. And so that is why we work together in it. Yes.
Yeah, that's amazing, and I know that this is played at other festivals, and people have. And does she have an agent yet? I mean, is this going to be a new career for her?
Yes, I mean, she has already invitations on the table for films that I hope they get made soon. But yes, some people may not like the film, but most of them agree that she does it very well in the film. So we are happy with that, and I hope you agree. If not, well, let me believe that. And yes, she's open to it. She always was kind of very. That's why I chose her. I didn't choose her because I thought, my mom. No, I always knew she was able to perform, but she never did. And I saw something in her that could explode in the film. And she was on board on the adventure, and we did really well on set. I was afraid of that part, but it was okay.
Yeah, so what was it like to work with because you worked with other professional actors, so-called professional, but what was it like to work with your mom?
The first part that was a bit complicated. It's, we play a parodic version, maybe-ish, of ourselves, and so it is inspired in a true event. So sometimes she told me, but I don't do this in real life, and it was, no, Mom, it's not going to be you. It's part of you, and that part of understanding it was a fictional character based on her persona, and those events were like the first part. But after that, sometimes she would fight with the dress wardrobe department, and that's when I knew she's an actress now.
We'll talk about, then you're on both sides of the camera. Talk about maybe that decision, why you chose to do that, and then what was it like how do you compartmentalize that? Yes,
I was not going to be an actor, but the pandemic arrived, and it is a co-production with Argentina. We were going to have actors flying from Argentina to Mexico, but everything was getting very, very complicated, and we wanted to keep the crew very small. And that's when the actors were not able to fly, I said, let's change. The son was going to be, it was a daughter, and she was going to be a scientist in order to make more evident maybe the battle between them. But when we changed it to myself, then we made it a filmmaker, a very frustrated filmmaker, and I felt related at some point. And yes, that was it. We said, okay, someone less to feed on set, because it is a very small budget film. And my mom also felt more comfortable that I was playing with her. The first scenes we did were the scenes where she was alone or with me. And after that first week of those scenes, we started adding some people in order to make her feel like in the journey, more confident about herself.
Talk about the ending of the film. Maybe not necessarily explain the ending. I think we all have our own interpretation, but you've seen this with audiences. I'm curious of like, what are some of the things you've heard feedback from other audiences about the ending, or maybe their interpretation, or, you know, maybe like a little bit of what was your goal versus like what people have taken from the ending.
Okay. One of the goals I have is to play with this difficulty of understanding what is reality, differentiating reality from spectacle, which is a phenomenon I think is very in today's days, but it also happened in the 90s. The internet started and we were not able to find out what was true from spectacle or not. And nowadays I think it's even worse. So you end up believing on what suits you better. So I wanted to play a little bit with the audience with that, because most of the time you think it's not going to happen, but she's seeing something we are not seeing, and she believes it is going to happen either way. So that was a bit the idea, to play with a phenomenon of our days, spectacle versus reality. And also it's the moment when it finally happens. I wanted the character to be all by her own, because she's doing everything to impress someone else. And when the reality comes true, she finds herself alone, and like the only thing she has is to live the present, to take it or not. There is no one else to impress, but finding what she wants to do at that moment. And so that was the idea behind it. Some people has read it like that. Some others say it sucks. I liked it before that point. So, but yes, some of the reviews I have read go around the same. I read one that was funny, that it's like she related it with Star Wars, that she finds her own Jedi way or something. Yes, that was fun, and I kind of was like, yes, it could be that.
Okay. Well, maybe let's hear from you guys. What did you think of the film, or what did you think of the ending, or any other questions from you guys? Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to say that I liked the twist. I thought that was a good idea. But I just wanted to ask sort of a technical question, just in terms of shooting it, like an Academy ratio, 4:3 ratio. I was just curious what the thinking was around doing that.
Did everyone hear that? Okay. We're recording it, so he's talking, so the camera will get it. Talking about the ratio, the aspect ratio of the Academy format of the film, which is not a typical, most films are in the widescreen. This is the more like squarish.
Yes, we wanted to be like over her face all the time to make it about her. And we felt the square was a good thing to make it feel more narrow, her reality more narrow. And we were playing also, we were thinking of playing with the idea, but we felt it was a little bit of cliche that at the point of the ending, maybe it narrows out. I'm inventing words, but it spreads. But then we thought that maybe it's better if she looks into depth. That's why the ending is learning to look deeper. It was, I don't know if it gets across, but that was the thinking behind that we can also look into depth. And that was a bit the idea, to make it feel at the beginning a bit dull the first half an hour, then with a bit of movement, but still narrow all over her face. And then at the end, trying to look deep in the sky. It's a bit corny, but that was the idea.
Any other questions or? Yeah, way in the back, or right there, either one.
How was it like directing your mother, and what were some challenges
Again, talking about challenges of directing your own mother.
It was actually pretty easy. Sometimes even easier than with, I wouldn't say with professional actors. It's always also easy. But like it was her first adventure, and she really trusted me. Like she knows I have done films before, so she said, I don't know. She just flew. It was very fluid. We had 15 days to shoot. It was a lot of time pressure over her, but she came in. She had a coach, a friend that is an actress, coached her to memorize some dialogues, etc. And in one of the exercises, she cried. And that was like the breaking point when she was confident enough. Like she said, "Oh, I can cry." And actually, after some of those scenes, she was only supposed to cry once or twice in the film. And she was like, the tears are coming down, and every day, I think she would be very sad here. Maybe she should cry also. No, even though if you would cry on that situation, if you cry a lot in 1 hour and a half, it's going to be too much. So I have to keep her from crying. So she was afraid she was not going to deliver the scene where the police arrives and she has to scream, etc. That was the scene she was most afraid of. But it was like take 3 or something like that. It was not. She had probably the most difficult part for her was the more everyday life scenes, the ones that are no anger, crying, etc. That was the most difficult, and because I don't know, like people don't think of their emotions when they're talking like this, and it's harder to notice where to go. That was the most difficult. I didn't expect that. I was thinking of the crying scene, the anger scene, and not the everyday life, like more quotidian, more or less. That was it.
And I think we had,
There are 2 hands. I don't know which hand.
yeah, right here, yeah.
I really enjoyed the film, but I wanted to ask about one of the kind of side storylines, her connection to the animal kingdom or to visiting the zoo. And I'm just wondering if that was also part of your past experience and how that became part of this current film. And, you know, you said you based this film on loosely on what had happened to you in the past, but just curious about that piece.
So he's asking about the connection, her connection with the animal kingdom, and like going to the zoo, and kind of how that little theme.
Yeah, the zoo. I didn't go to the zoo that much on my childhood, but we grew up on a rural side of the city. And in this new age movement we were on, there's always like a mythical thing with animals everywhere. So it was part of the worldview of our childhood, but we did not visit the zoo. But I wanted to bring it in because I thought, like at the zoo, the animals are safe, but it's freedom versus safe. No? And it's a little bit her life choosing something safe versus freedom a little bit. And also to give her a little context of she being a scientist or someone that studied that never got to do what she says at some point, like, I studied science, I wouldn't swallow anything. And she goes there and talks about Bambi, the white deer. And she's like, she knows stuff about nature, but she's staying at home and not exploring like her dreams a little bit. So it was kind of the context of the character to give her a bit more background of what she could be doing, but she's not doing because she served the life of her son or her husband. That's how the zoo came. And while the animals are a bit of the reflection of that, they are safe in there, but they are maybe boring, you never know. One of the deers managed to escape to the end, so it's a little bit like, now it's not going to be safe, but it's going to be what you choose,
Yeah.
more or less.
Yeah. I think we can do one more, and I think Yeah, let's go way in the back, way in the back. Yeah.
I had a question about, I'm fascinated by the film, by the way. I really enjoyed it. About how your mother tapped into her past experiences to come up with this performance, because it's really pretty profound how she came across. I wanted to see if you could comment on that.
So he's asking about how your mother maybe tapped into her own past experiences in her own life because he felt it was really profound of how she was able to do that, especially as a non-trained actor.
Yeah, one of the qualities I was not able to express correctly that I saw in my mother that she could do it. She very easily, she can get angry or sad about past things very easily. She's one of those persons that you said, you remember that, and she is living it like she's living it in the moment. So it was easy in that way that I could put her in the context of more or less what is the feeling she's going to do, and she was living it. Like, remember when, I mean, for example, the scene of the kids' party and they announcing it, that happened with my family, the cousins, etc. It was maybe not a kids' party, but it was a big reunion where she had to tell everyone. So it was just, remember that feeling 1 year later when it didn't happen and how you have to deal with it. And so she transported her very easily to those kind of emotions. Or remember when you were mad at my dad, that kind of anger. So that was very easy. So it was very easy to work with her in those terms. And sometimes she tapped into those specific situations, but also with, for example, most of her crying scenes, she would. I never got to meet my grandparents. The father, she lost them when she was pretty young, so the tombs are not the original tombs of because we shot on the garden, but she tapped into those memories. To get in the mood of sadness, because she's always very nostalgic about us maybe meeting them. I mean, I met them, but I was 3 months old or something. So she's very nostalgic about that. She feels it was for her the best moment she could think of in order to be in the sadder mood. Some actors do not recommend that method. But she was easily pulled out. She was not like then traumatized 3 days. She could get in and out easily.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here, and make sure to tell your mom next time you see her, tell her people from Austin love the film and loved her performance, and thank her for being in it. So thank you all for coming out. Ivan.
Thank you. Thanks again. We can still talk if you want outside. Don't worry.
Yeah.
And thank you very much for coming and being here. Thank you to the festival.